Welcome to the Mills Knows Bills podcast. My name is Mills Bender. I'm the founder and CEO of Mills Knows Bills, where we help you, variable income earners, master your money in 90 days. The point of this podcast is to help you make the most of your fluctuating income so you can stop living paycheck to paycheck, pay off your debt twice as fast, and get on track toward reaching both your personal and professional financial goals. Now, as I continue to grow my team here at MKB, you may have some guest hosts from time to time. However, our goal does not change. Whether we're bringing in a guest speaker, having an in-depth conversation about our personal finances, or talking about a topic that is of interest to you, our goal is to help you master your money.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mills Knows Bills podcast, where we have been answering burning financial questions. I'm your host, as well as the founder and CEO, Mills Bender. And with us today, we have the amazing Clifton, who, if anybody here follows my Instagram and you see me post the daily dose of motivation, that's him. That's 100% him. I just screenshot what he sends me in my texts and post it there, which you can get those in your text as well. I'm sure he will tell you how towards the end. So Clifton, please introduce yourself. Tell everybody why you are this amazing guru, and we'll go to your question from there.
Awesome. Thank you, Mills. I appreciate the introduction. As you mentioned, Clifton Muckenfuss, serial entrepreneur. I've grown and scaled home service companies. I've exited home service companies. In 2021, I exited my last business while simultaneously creating a relationship and referral marketing company, Building Raving Fans, to help other small businesses take advantage of the strategies that I implemented into my own company to grow and scale without depending on expensive ad agencies and expensive paid ad programs. And so that's what I do now, as well as I have the pleasure of working with entrepreneurs and business owners as a business coach and a client experience consultant with business owners all across the U.S.
So you just have like a little bit of experience, safe to say.
Yeah, my overnight success has taken 17 years.
It's taken 17 years. I love it. Love it. That actually lines up really well with the last episode where we talked about passive income and how, it's not an overnight thing. It takes some work. So speaking of questions, what's your burning financial question today?
I think, Mills, a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, they're in the grind so much that they don't look forward. And so my question for you today would be, as a small business owner, in your opinion, as an expert, what's the best investment plan or program or strategy or vehicle to generate long-term wealth?
I absolutely love this question because it's not a one-size-fits-all. And there are so many financial gurus out there that are going to tell you only do real estate or only do options or only do whatever it may be. However, every person is so different. And so the first thing I always encourage my clients to do is, number one, figure out, what does wealth look like to you? What is that dollar amount that you want at the end of the day when you say, I'm going to have my version of retirement? Because let's be honest, Clifton, as business owners and entrepreneurs, we don't ever really retire, right? We have our moment when we want to slow down. So what is that amount of money, and what is that timeline that you have? From there, you get to figure out the best way that you want to invest your money based off of you. There are a lot of financial advisors who would say, open up a retirement plan. And is a retirement plan good? Absolutely. But it shouldn't be somebody's end-all be-all, especially if you are a business owner. One thing that we get to take into consideration is, where do we get our best return on investment? If you've been averaging 10% in your stock market investments, that's awesome. But if you're getting 30% return on every advertising dollar you put back in your business, that has a far greater return. And so you get to build your business to hopefully sell and exit one day to get you closer to that number. So the first thing that you get to do is figure out your number, figure out your timeline, But then figure out all the different ways that you can get there. Is it through real estate, through selling your business, through stocks, through bonds? It doesn't have to be a one size fits all, but you do need to make sure that you are exploring all options and figuring out what is best for your time and your dedication. Because if you're not a fan of real estate, you shouldn't have to invest in real estate. You being a serial entrepreneur, if that is what excites you and where you get the most return on both your time and money, that's where you should invest it to get you closer to that number at the end of the day. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I heard there is, start with the end in mind,
Mm-hmm.
determine your timeline,
Mm-hmm.
and definitely consider diversification.
Absolutely.
Got it. Yeah. So that definitely answers my question. Now, if somebody wanted to, because a lot of people get gun shy with financial advisors and investing and all that, probably because most people don't have any experience with it. So for the entrepreneur that says, Mills, this sounds great, how do I get started?
So the first thing I would say is establish your budget. A lot of people will hear, financial gurus talk about establishing a personal budget, and that's great, but you also need a business budget to make sure that you have the cash flow to fund your personal budget. So once you have that end in mind, figure out what you want to contribute each month towards that end. That's when you get to start putting that money aside. We get so caught up in being perfect or having all of the answers to our questions up front before we get started that we never end up getting started. One of the best things that I did as, somebody who was just learning finances, I knew I wanted to invest, but I didn't know how to invest yet. I just started putting the money aside in a separate savings account while I started figuring out the answers to some of those questions that I didn't know. And then once I felt 75% confident, I pulled the trigger. I invested that lump sum of money. Then I continued investing the money into that new account rather than the savings account, and I continued learning. So if you're gun shy, just set up something separate where you get into the habit of not using that money elsewhere in your life. Figure out who you need to speak to in your network, and when you feel mostly confident, you don't need to be perfect, that's when you get to start putting those pieces into play. Because if you wait till perfection, you're just never going to get started.
I love that. You're exactly right. Paralysis by analysis.
Yes.
Prevents us from taking action. I the same thing when dealing with my clients as well, Mills. We give this strategy based on experience, and yet people don't take action. So I greatly appreciate that insight.
I appreciate it. So that's actually a great opportunity for the viewers and listeners to learn a little bit more about you. How can you help business owners out there?
Yeah. So what I've done is the areas that I help business owners in, aside from the relationship marketing company that I own, is we work in the areas of leadership, sales, marketing, operations, and client experience. Right? We really help the entrepreneur set their business up to exit, even if they don't have a plan to actually sell their business. Right? So we help them systematize and professionalize their company, because at the end of the day, most entrepreneurs want freedom. And so that's what we help them put the steps and the processes in place to allow them to take that step forward towards freedom.
I think that's amazing, because you're right. A lot of business owners start their business because they want that freedom, but they get so caught up in wearing all of the different hats that they forget what that visual of freedom looks like, and they don't ever think that they can sell their business. And I think that's amazing. Do you have specific industries that you like to work with, or are you kind of industry agnostic now?
Yeah, so I would say 98% of my clients are in the construction, remodeling, home services space. I spent almost 11 years in that industry. And so I know I speak that language. I know those pain points. I've paid that dumb tax, right, that we all hear about. And so I really know what it takes to grow and scale that company with minimal headache.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to use that, the dumb tax. I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah, you're a financial person, right? So tax is a word that you talk about often. So, listen to the things that I've done, because again, I've paid the dumb tax.
Yes, I love that. Oh my gosh. So if somebody wants to reach out to you, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah, very active on social media. You can track me down at Clifton Muckenfuss on Facebook, on Instagram, Your Small Biz Coach, also on LinkedIn at Clifton Muckenfuss. You can check out cliftonmuckenfuss.com. And you alluded to it at the top of the show. Go to adailydoseofmotivation.com. Sign up for those daily text messages and emails. I'm not putting you in a funnel. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm seriously just trying to drop some inspirational, encouraging, motivational words in your inbox or in your phone Monday through Friday to get your day started. Maybe it's exactly what you'll need to overcome or fight through some adversity that you come up on that day.
I absolutely agree. I can speak firsthand. I've been subscribed to your daily drops for, I think, over a year now at this point, almost a year and a half, I think. And I love waking up to those texts, or not waking up because it's a little bit later here, but stopping my workout and seeing those texts and helping me get through the day. So thank you for providing that motivation and that positivity. It is truly amazing. Anybody watching / listening, go subscribe to those texts. He's absolutely right. He's not putting you in a funnel or anything. It's really meant for your benefit. Thank you, Clifton, for taking time out of your day. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate your question. And I'm excited to see how we can continue to collaborate with each other.
Awesome. Thanks, Mills. It's been a pleasure. Have a blessed day.
You too. Bye.
If you stuck around long enough to get to this part of the podcast, I just want to say thank you. We really appreciate the fact that you take the time to listen to the content in its entirety, because we do pour our hearts and soul into every single piece of content we let out. So thank you for being here. I want to let you know that if you're in a space where you're trying to level up your finances, you can always snag some free resources on our YouTube channel, Instagram. You're always welcome to email us at info@millsknowsbills.com. And if you're interested in taking part of any of our coaching programs or courses, be sure to mention our podcast to get a special discount, okay? We want to make sure that you are making the most of your financial investment. Again, I am your host, Mills Bender, founder and CEO of Mills Knows Bills. Thank you so much for listening. And just because I gotta, here's a quick little disclaimer. I want to remind you that this podcast is strictly discussion, okay? It's general, it's educational in nature. We don't provide any specific tax, investment, legal, or financial advice on this podcast with respect to any particular individual, okay? So if you're in a situation where you need specific help, please consult your own advisor regarding your unique situation, because it's not a one-size-fits-all.